So I was rummaging around the internet as I do from time to time. Saw Bill Conley's piece over at ESPN about the 12 defenses that could define the 2024 college football season, and the Georgia Bulldogs are not on it, which I find curious. I guess you could see. Well, I'm not sure why it's not showing up, but it. I promise you that I'm not. I don't just have a blank screen on there. So we got. Alabama, Ohio State, Florida State, Clemson, Michigan, SC, Boise, Ohio State, Oklahoma State, LSU, and SMU, and as well as Indiana. So a couple in East Carolina. So a couple of these things that Bill's writing about, I don't know if he does the headlines or not, because defenses that could define the 2024 there we go, the college football season. Listen, Georgia's is going to define the season. Why? Well, because they're the number one team in the country coming into this thing. We'll see that shortly. They're the betting favorite, and they have had probably. I don't really know how. I don't know who else could make this argument. They've had the best defense in college football the last probably 5 seasons since 19, when you take a collective look at it. And a lot of what Bill's writing about here are, he's pointing out Ohio State has gotten much better at defense, which they have, by the way. They've just gotten drastically, as good as they've gotten on defense, have gotten that much worse on offense, it seems. Alabama, he's talking about, Womack, who is the new defensive coordinator at Alabama, and his defense going at South Alabama from 118th to 77th, and then what he did at Indiana as well. So he's saying, hey, this could be something to watch. Obviously, Florida State, we saw what they did during the regular season, not so much in the postseason, but giving up 63 points, no matter who you're playing with, kind of goes against that you've got a good defense. But I disagree really with the could define the 2024 season. You got both Michigan and Ohio State in here. I don't see Texas. I don't see Georgia. And it's very probably, I see Clemson, and he really goes in on Dabo. He goes in on Dabo for 2 paragraphs, which, I'm all for that. But, Clemson's going to have a good defense. And his point is, they're not using they're not using the additional defensive back. They're using their 4 defensive linemen. Clemson's got a formula. It's worked for a long time. I think they're going to have to adjust it. But the one thing that's right at Clemson right now is definitely the defense. The offense is a problem. And I don't think that's going to get better the first game of the season. But I think that they sure seem like they know what they're doing on defense. Now, they didn't play great against Kentucky in the bowl game, and there were some moments where they weren't great during the season. But that's a pretty good defense. That will be a legitimate challenge for the Georgia offense. I think Georgia's offense is really good, though. I think that's one thing. The closer we get to that Clemson game, the more that we can take a look at the head matchup between the two. But I think, Bill writes a lot. Bill Conley is one of the people at ESPN that I think, people should pay attention to. His data is very good. His logic is very good. He does a good job of talking about a lot of the things from a national perspective, or I would call it a global perspective. I think leaving Georgia off this list is perhaps, and there may be a reason why. It may be, we know what they are. We know what Georgia is. And when you go back and you look at Georgia over time, they're consistent. Stuff doesn't change with them. The players do, and that's it. And that alone is a good enough argument not to include them in a lot of things. But I'm just going to quickly go through here. I guess we'll use scoring defense. The official defensive statistic is total defense, which is yards. But clearly scoring is the most important, I would argue. So Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Iowa, Georgia. That was 2023. In 2022, you have Iowa and Georgia. So those are the only two in back-to-back seasons. And then you have Georgia. There's no Iowa. As I pointed out, Clemson, a very good defense in 2021. In 2020, which I don't think you can just throw 2020 out. Georgia was not in that one. But none of the other schools I talked about were in there either. And then in 2019, in scoring defense, Georgia's number one again. So, and Clemson's in there too. So, and Iowa as well. So the best defenses in the last 5 years have been Georgia, clearly, and then probably Iowa, and then probably Clemson. I think the worry, if you are Clemson, is that this past season they were number 29, so allowing 21 points a game, and they're going to open their season against an offense in Georgia that is the number 5 offense coming back in the country at 40 points a game. They're returning the quarterback, they're returning the head coach, the quarterback, and the offensive coordinator, all three things. So, not an ideal situation. I'm trying to think of who Clemson played. I played Florida State and really played them well, but Florida State, let me see here, ACC-wise. I mean, Florida State was the number 19 team in the country at 30, let's just call it 35 points a game. North Carolina at 35 points a game. They beat both those. Well, they lost to Florida State, excuse me. After that, Miami, a team they lost to, is number 38 in the country with 31 points a game. I can't remember if Clemson played Tech. I feel like they did, but they didn't play well. They beat their brains in. That's what it was. So you're not getting a lot of ACC teams, near the top of, sort of top 30 teams. There's 4 teams in the top. Well, there's 5 teams in the top 25 in scoring offense in the SEC alone. And, Georgia played Ole Miss. They avoided all the other ones. They played Missouri, but Missouri's 28th, and then Tennessee's 36th. Tennessee scored 32 points a game last year, and did they score a meaningful? Did they score in the second half against Georgia? I'm trying to remember. I don't remember that they did. That game was so lopsided, 38-10. I don't think they did, but some of this stuff, it's late March. This is the kind of the time of year where you're digging in, going, hey, what is out there that I'm missing, or something like that. And it's totally possible that's what kind of is included in what Bill's summary is here. But I don't, Tennessee, 10 points, 188 yards of total offense at home on 26 plays. That can't be right. 26 plays, that must have been in the first half or something. But, I mean, that's horrific. but that's what Georgia's defense can do to you, is they can smother you quickly, like cheese at Waffle House, man. You could be in real trouble quick. And I think when you, I don't know, it surprised me not to see Georgia on a list of defenses that could define the 24 season. Georgia's going to the playoff. Georgia very well could win the national championship. Or I should use this term. Very, very well may win the national championship. I think it's not quite right to leave them off of an article, an opinion-based article, obviously, where you are talking about who could define the season defensively. I mean, it's just I'm kind of become obsessed with this Tennessee game all of a sudden. Tennessee had 55 plays for 277 yards. I mean, they just were completely shut down in that second half. I mean, just completely shut down, and I guess virtually every single way. I mean, Tennessee scored 10 in the first half. They were down 24-10. I remember going to the halftime of that game. Tennessee kicked a field goal right at the end to make it go from 24-7 to 24-10. But I'm just full triggered right now. I got to see this drive chart. I mean, Tennessee, remember, they scored on the first play? Was it the first play? Yeah, one play, 75 yards. Next drive, 3 and out. Next drive, 3 and out. Next drive, 29 yards, punt. Next drive, 5 yards, punt. 5 plays, punt. Next drive, they kicked a field goal. I mean, 10 points off of 6 drives. Not horrific, but not good. And then what happens? Then they come out, 3 and out. Then they come out, 1 yard drive. The game's over. I mean, the game was over at the half, but game's over. And then, late in the game, miss a field goal. That's a tough miss. But this is a defense that, a lot of people, myself included, you're just going to always compare them to the 21 defense or even the 22 defense. But the 21 defense with, Jalen, Nakobe, Trayvon Walker, Devontae Wyatt. I mean, that defense was sick, man. I mean, Keely Ringo made the play everybody remembers right over my shoulder there, but that defense was sick. And these guys should never be overlooked, ever. If there's a list and it doesn't include some weird thing in it, Georgia should be on it, period.